Hi, I'm Vivian, and lately, life has been nothing short of a whirlwind. Honestly, I never thought I'd be sharing this, but life has a funny way of surprising you when you least expect it. I'm 28, a marketing executive, and up until recently, I thought I had everything figured out. I married Mark, my college sweetheart, a little over a year ago. We were riding high, especially when we found out I was pregnant. It was our little secret, and we were over the moon with excitement. Mark, can you believe it? We're going to be parents. I squealed one night, barely able to contain myself. He pulled me into a tight hug, his eyes sparkling. I know, Viv, it's amazing. But remember, we're keeping it quiet until after the first trimester, he reminded me gently. I nodded, understanding the need for caution, but keeping such a huge secret was harder than I expected, especially around Mark's family. Oh, his family. Where do I even begin? There's Sandra, my mother-in-law, a woman who still seems to think her grown son needs constant mothering. Then there's Robert, Mark's dad, who's about as involved in family matters as the armchair he sits in. And Mark's siblings. Let's just say, Amy, his sister, looks at me like I stole her favorite toy, while Jake, his brother, barely acknowledges I exist. Family gatherings are always an experience, like last Sunday's lunch, for example. Mark, honey, your shirt's wrinkled. Viv, don't you know how to use an iron? Sandra's voice was sharp enough to slice through glass. I bit back my irritation. I'll make sure to double-check next time, Sandra, I replied, forcing a smile. Amy jumped in, adding fuel to the fire. Oh, Viv, don't stress. Not everyone's cut out for homemaking, she said with a smirk. I could feel my blood pressure rising, but I kept smiling, refusing to give them the satisfaction. Later, I called my best friend Tessa to vent. If Sandra makes one more passive-aggressive comment about my housekeeping, I'm going to lose it, I groaned. Tessa's laughter crackled through the phone. Girl, you married Mark, not his mother. Tell her to back off. I wish it were that simple. I sighed. Mark hates conflict, and I don't want to stir things up. But I swear, sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in their expectations. You've got to stand up for yourself, Viv. Especially now with a baby on the way, she said, always the voice of reason. She was right, of course. But the thought of confrontation made my stomach churn, though, to be fair, that could have been the morning sickness. As the weeks passed, it became harder to keep our little secret. One night, while we were lying in bed, Mark turned to me, his face a mixture of excitement and nerves. Viv, I think it's time. Let's tell them about the baby at the family dinner next week, he said, his eyes searching mine. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to keep our bubble of happiness intact, away from Sandra's critical gaze and Amy's jealousy. But I knew we couldn't hide it forever. Okay, I agreed, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Let's do it. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that this announcement would change everything. I just didn't realize how right I was, or how wrong things were about to go. The day of the family dinner arrived, and I was a bundle of nerves. I'd spent hours cooking, hoping to finally impress Sandra. But of course, that was a pipe dream. Vivian, dear, the roast is a bit dry. Did you forget to baste it? Sandra's voice dripped with false sweetness. I forced another smile. I'll keep that in mind for next time. And that dress, is it new? It's a bit tight, don't you think? She added, her gaze drifting to my waist. Before I could respond, Mark cleared his throat. Actually, Mom, we have some news. This was it. I took a deep breath, nodding at Mark for him to continue. Vivian and I were having a baby. For a moment, there was silence. Then chaos. Oh, sweetie, that's wonderful. Robert beamed, offering a rare smile. Jake mumbled a half-hearted congratulations, while Amy's face twisted into an unmistakable scowl. But Sandra, her reaction was the one that shook me. Are you sure, Mark? How do you know she's not lying? My jaw dropped. Excuse me. Sandra's eyes narrowed. It's just convenient timing, isn't it? Just as Mark's career is taking off. What are you talking about, Mom? Mark sounded genuinely confused. Amy, of course, jumped in. Remember when Viv was so insistent about birth control? Funny how that's changed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That was over a year ago. We decided together that we were ready for a family. I protested, feeling the weight of their judgment crushing down on me. This was supposed to be happy news. Mark's voice lacked conviction, and I could see the doubt creeping into his eyes. Sandra stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. If you're really pregnant, prove it. Prove it? I echoed, my voice shaking with disbelief and anger. What, you want me to pee on a stick right here? Don't be crass, Vivian. A proper blood test would suffice. Sandra snapped. I looked at Mark, expecting him to shut this down, to defend me. Instead, he looked torn, his gaze shifting between his mother and me. Maybe it's not such a bad idea, Viv, he said softly, just to put everyone's minds at ease. My world started to spin. How could he even consider this? This is insane. I'm leaving, I said, turning to go. But Sandra blocked my path. Not so fast. If you walk out that door, we'll all know you're lying. Get out of my way, Sandra. And then it happened. So fast, yet in slow motion. Sandra's hands shot out, shoving me backward. I stumbled, arms flailing as I tried to regain my balance. But it was too late. I saw Jake lunging toward me, his fingers grazing my arm as I tumbled down the stairs. Everything went black. Tears streamed down my face as the scene replayed in my mind. Sandra's hateful expression, Amy's smug face, Mark's weakness, and Jake's failed attempt to catch me. How could this be happening? As the ambulance raced to the hospital, only one thought consumed me. Would my baby survive this betrayal? And if so, how could I ever trust my husband or his family again? The ambulance screeched to a halt, and I was rushed into the ER. Doctors and nurses swarmed around me, their voices a blur of medical jargon. All I could focus on was one terrifying question. Was my baby okay? I blinked awake to the steady beeping of monitors. A doctor stood by my bed, smiling gently. Mrs. Thompson, you're awake. Good news, your baby is safe. You're both going to be okay. Relief washed over me, followed quickly by a wave of anger as I remembered why I was there. Mark hovered nearby, pale and conflicted. Viv, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. What happened? I cut him off, fury bubbling to the surface. Your mother pushed me down the stairs. That's what happened. He flinched. Mom says it was an accident. She was just trying to stop you from leaving. Before I could respond, Tessa burst into the room like a whirlwind. Vivian, oh my God, are you okay? She turned to Mark, her eyes blazing. And you? How could you let this happen? It wasn't. I didn't. Save it, Tessa snapped, cutting him off. She turned back to me, her voice soft. I'm here now, Viv. Whatever you need. As Mark left to get some air, I filled Tessa in on everything. Her face grew darker with every word. We're not letting them get away with this, she said firmly. Just then, familiar voices echoed from the hallway, Sandra and Amy. Just need to convince Mark it was an accident. Vivian's always been clumsy, probably faking a whole pregnancy anyway. Tessa's eyes widened. Without a word, she pulled out her phone and started recording. As their voices faded, I felt something inside me harden. Enough was enough. Tess, I need your help. We're going to fight back. Over the next few hours, we formulated a plan. Tessa sweet-talked a nurse into giving us copies of my medical records, which clearly showed the pregnancy and injuries consistent with being pushed. We should get statements from the staff too, Tessa suggested. They can confirm your condition when you arrived. I nodded, but hesitated. What about Mark? He's been texting me, full of doubt and clearly believing his mother. Forward them to me. It's all evidence, Viv, Tessa said, her tone determined. As she worked her magic gathering intel, I made a call I never thought I'd have to make. Hello, is this the office of Claire Davidson? I need to speak with her about a domestic abuse case. Tessa returned, triumphant. Got it all, medical records, staff statements, and that lovely recorded conversation of Sandra and Amy plotting. I took a deep breath. Tess, I've made a decision. I'm leaving Mark. Her eyes softened. Are you sure? I have to, for my baby's sake and my home. Just then, Mark walked back in, looking conflicted. Viv, can we talk? Mom wants to come apologize. No, Mark, we can't, I said, cutting him off. And she can't. I'm done. His face fell. What do you mean? I mean I'm leaving. I can't be part of this family anymore. It's not safe for me or our child. But Viv, we can work this out. She said she's done, Mark. Respect that, Tessa interjected, her voice steely. Mark left, looking shell-shocked. As the door closed behind him, I felt a mix of sadness and relief. The road ahead would be hard, For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. I turned to Tessa. What now? She smiled, fierce as always. Now we get you out of here and somewhere safe. Then we make them pay. Months flew by, and there I was 7 months pregnant, waddling around Tessa's apartment. My baby bump was impossible to hide, a constant reminder of why I was fighting so hard. Ready for court today? Tessa asked as she handed me a glass of water. I nodded, nervous but determined. As ready as I'll ever be. The courtroom was packed. I spotted Mark and his family on the other side, Sandra looking smug as ever. But not for long. Our lawyer, Claire, was a force of nature. She presented the evidence methodically, my medical records, staff testimonies, and then, Your Honor, I'd like to present audio evidence of the defendants plotting to cover up their actions. The color drained from Sandra and Amy's faces as their own voices echoed through the courtroom. Mark looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Mrs. Thompson, the judge's voice rang out. You pushed your daughter-in-law down a flight of stairs, endangering both her life and that of her unborn child. How do you plead? Sandra sputtered, her composure cracking. It was an accident. I never meant. Save it for your lawyer, Mrs. Thompson. You're facing charges of assault and endangering an unborn child. During a recess, Mark approached me, looking haggard. Viv, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Can we talk? For a moment, I felt a twinge of pity, maybe even regret. But then I remembered those days in the hospital, his doubt, his weakness. No, Mark. Your apology means nothing. You chose your mother over me and our child. There's no coming back from that. His face crumpled, but I stood firm. I had a future to protect now. Later, the judge's gavel came down like thunder. In the matter of Thompson versus Thompson, this court rules in favor of the plaintiff. Mrs. Vivian Thompson is granted a divorce, full custody of the unborn child, and a settlement of $500,000 for emotional damages and medical expenses. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. It was over. We had won. 2 years later, I'm blowing up balloons for my daughter Zoe's 2nd birthday. My little warrior, born against all odds, now toddles around, babbling happily. Tessa walks in, arms full of presents. Where's the birthday girl? Auntie Tessa's got goodies. I smile as I watch Zoe squeal with delight, and I can't help but reflect on how much has changed. I'm running my own marketing firm now, turning my pain into purpose by helping other survivors tell their stories. Sandra is serving her sentence. Turns out, pushing pregnant women down the stairs is frowned upon by the justice system. More friends arrive, filling the house with warmth and laughter. These are my people now, the family I've chosen. As the party winds down and I tuck an exhausted Zoe into bed, I whisper, Happy birthday, my brave girl. The world is yours. And mine too. I realize now that this is a world of new beginnings, hard-won and fiercely protected. Whatever comes next, I know we can handle it. After all, we already have. The story you've just heard is now over. But I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you have given Mark a second chance? Was I too harsh in rejecting his apology, or was I right to protect myself and my daughter from future harm? This is a tough situation with no easy answers. What would you have done? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might help someone going through a similar situation. If you found this story compelling, please give the video a like. It helps more people discover and learn from these difficult experiences. And if you want to hear more stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe. Your support means everything as we continue to share these important narratives.